Hello everyone. Today we'll look at the session management. How uh, the user access to a specific applications, then the user login is a session. The session may be hijacked. So session hijacking is one of the sophisticated cyber attack. So we'll look at that issues. Um, so what is a session hijacking? That is an attacks. It's kind of the gaining authorities to access some of the user sessions to a web application. Usually it comes with an app, web applications. By the way, because the hijacking is session hijacking is usually takes place in a web services. The application that we are going to work on here is a Flask and Python. The web server uh, uh, is a little bit the larger size of services. If you want to make it, then more feasible way currently is to lease a cloud computing. For example, Google Cloud computing we can lease infrastructure from the Google Cloud products. There, you need to set up the Apache server. Then you can run a web services. That is a little bit. That is a real world the applications, the real world computing power. It may not be uh, feasible to each of you, our students. Therefore, we are going to look at the Flask. Remember the Flask that we started using from the last class. That is a lightweight of web services. It's not a toy product, but actually Python and Flask are used by numerous organizations. For example, Netflix. Netflix utilizes Flask for its internal services and tools. Airbnbs also uses Flask for specific microservices. Uber also uses Flask in various components of its platforms. Many the high-tech companies uses Python and Flask combinations. That's what we start using. Anyway, session hijacking is possible if the attacker can steal or predict session tokens, which is used to maintain a user's session once they have logged in. So in Python, for including and importing a Flask, we can build the small services so user can log in. Then how can we protect the user sessions? That is the key points. That is the things that we're going to learn today. Okay. So how session hijacking is possible? First of all, session token can be taken, steal a session token in a various ways. Network packet sniffing, that is one possible, or cross-site scripting, or predictable session tokens. In any case, then we can get in users' session, then we can intercept user sessions. Session fixation. In this attack, attacker sets a session ID for a user, then takes over a session after the user logs in. So we need to make sure that our web services needs to, for example, generate a UUID or unique ID, and then keep that unique ID. If attackers comes in to try to log in, then it'll generate different UUID. So by checking UUID, then we can simply see, oh, this is a hijacking attack. That type of things possible. So man in the middle attack, of course, that is also possible. All right. Ways to prevent session hijacking. We need to first of all set up HTTPS for secure protocols. If it is not, then still we need to, typical HTTP protocol, we need to still verify if there is any possible attacks that can be taken place. And also secure session cookies. We can say HTTP only flags that we can set up. This flag prevents JavaScript from accessing the session taken in cookies, mitigating the risk of cross-site script attacks. All of these three cases of three components of session cookies will be clearly seen in our code segments. That's available toward the end of this lecture notes. So HTTP only flag and secure flag and same site attributes. Those three components needs to be set. So you may be able to see how they can be set. Okay. Secure flag ensure cookies are only sent over HTTPS, preventing them from being transmitted over insecure channels. Same site attribute helps prevent cross-site request forgery attacks by not sending cookies along with the cross-site request. So so-called the CSRF that needs to be set. Okay. So secure flags and HTTP only flags. The other one is regenerate the session ID. Regenerate the session ID after a successful login. Then session ID is regenerated. Therefore, even if at the time of login, session ID is compromised, then that is obsolete. Okay, when moving from a less secure environment to a more secure ones. That way, session fixation attacks, session expiration and timeout, that also possibly set up. IP address and user agent verifications. We can monitor and validate the user's IP address and user agent string to detect. Actually, this is also what we are going to look at in our lab. So if user, at the same time, user login from one IP, if there is any sessions hijacked, then hijacker probably log in from different IP, and therefore different user agent strings. So we need to check those things to verify this is the user that initially log in and we authorized. Multi-factor authentication. This is very, very common in most cases. So we can add an extra layer of security by requiring additional authentication factors. Therefore, we can reduce the risk even if a session token is compromised. So not only we check what user knows, but also we also check what user has. So we can send the data to, for example, user's cell phone. Not only user's login and password, but we can another verification code to user's cell phone to make sure the same user who registered the cell phone number, okay? And we can do more. So not only two-factor, but multi-factor authentications can be considered. Monitor and log session activities. So regularly monitor and log session activities to detect any suspicious behaviors. This is all the time that we do. If you are managing the Linux server, then the most malicious attack is the attack that wants to gain secure shell authentications, SSH. Therefore, that type of things always logged in the Linux operating systems. So that keeps growing and then archive. So system administrator regularly needs to check manually. If you do not know how to code, then you have to do that manually, but that is very, very tedious. And also, by doing so manually, you may miss some, right? But if you do a small the code, possibly in Python can do very, very efficiently and effectively for string manipulation and string matches and all those things, searches. So you can monitor the activities. So cross-site scripting is a type of security vulnerabilities that allows attackers to inject malicious script into web pages. To demonstrate how cross-site scripting can work in a Python Flask application, I'll provide an example of a vulnerable Flask application and then show how to fix the vulnerabilities. Okay, so hands-on. We need to setting secure cookies. Okay, session, unlike cookies, session data is stored on a server. So session is the interval at which the client logs onto a server and log out the server. So that during that period, from login to log out, there is some data can be maintained. We call that session. So session data saved in so-called session and stored in a temporary directory on the server. Session data is stored at the top of the cookies, and then server signs it in encrypted mode. Of course, this is not all the time, but you have to set the secret keys. Session that you can have some of the references from this flask-session.readthedocs.io/English/latest. Then you may be able to see APIs about Flask sessions. So please take a look at that. If you do not know a specific, let's take a look at that specific the statements, then you can use that. So I need to copy and paste this. Oops. So this is something about API sessions. So I want you to look at this. So session, then initiate the session, app applications, or server-side sessions. You need to create applications of the sessions like this. Okay, so take a look at that. We need to go further. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to prepare. Let me explain this whole, and then we can practice the lab quick. For the better the manipulations, I want you to create a directory. First of all, you have to open up the terminal. For Windows users, then you can hold Windows button and type R for run, and then there is a text box. You type there CMD for command, then you will get the terminals. For Mac users, hold down command button and spacebar, then you will get like this. Then here you can do terminal, then you will get the terminals like this. And there, make directory, and then change the directory to that place. So you are in one designated folder. For Mac users, you can type source. Wait a minute. No, you have to. I think you need to do. You have to set up the virtual environment in Python. So I need to. What I'm going to do. Virtual environment. The command to set up virtual environment is Python -m. I want to include import the module. Module is called venv, virtual environment. Okay. And then you need to activate the virtual environment. For Mac users, you need to type source venv. If you do this, then venv, the virtual environment is set up. Let's try to get that. Let's see. So here I can make I want to make mk dir flask 455 and then cd flask 455. So I've done this, right? And then I will do Python -n v env. Error following arguments are required. Oh, I have to say venv name. Name should be, where am I going to put that? So I can do venv. So what I need to do, venv. So this is a target directory. This is a module, okay? So when I do this, then venv directory is created. For Mac users, I will do source venv /bin/activate. When you do activate, then you may be able to see the prompt string start with the venv. Previously, simply from base and till my name, but venv is a prefix of that prompt string. So make sure that that is it. And here you need to do pip install Flask. So within this directory, within that the virtual environment, the Python virtual environment, Flask is ready. Okay, so we'll come back here a little later. So we are done till this point. The next slide, then we'll set up this Python code. Okay, so let me explain a little bit of those. So import the UUID, and then from Flask, I want to import Flask session redirect URL for request, make response. You can do more and more if you like as you expand your Python codes. But right now, let's take a look only this. And then I created an application object of a Flask. Okay, so we call that app.secretKey. You can name this for securing session data. Session needs to be kept tightly, securely. If you do not set this, then session data holds who comes in, from where, all those things. So that needs to be securely maintained. Unless you do this the secret key, then anyone can open it. Okay. Of course, in this case, if this the source code itself if your secret key is hard coded into your code, if somebody compromised this source code, then the secret key is also compromised. To avoid that, then you can store this secret key in another location, and then you can import that the path here. But for simplicity, we simply see here the hard-coded ones. And then we have a function defined, generate session ID using UUID. So UUID is that is an ID, unique ID, and then randomly generated. So it is very hard to guess. That is UUID. UUID is imported. So there is a method called UUID4. We invoke that and change that UUID to string. Then session ID is generated. Oops. And then we just set the cookies. Here after the session, as I said, the session is created after user login, and it is destroyed after a logout, right? So we need to define the cookies right after the user login. So we call that after request. Then this definition, this function is executed. So there is a response that the set cookies. What we want to keep here in the sessions, session ID, and that session ID is included in that session. This is a session data. You can consider this like a dictionary. Remember that if it is a dictionary, then session ID is the key, and then real session ID is the value, and session is the dictionary data type. For the secure maintenance of the session cookies, then remember that we need to first set up HTTP only with set to true, and then secondly secure, that is true, and thirdly same site, the value for that is lex. That protecting session data to minimize the risk of the session hijacking attack. That is, we looked at that somewhere. Yeah, here. This is a HTTP only flag, secure flag, and same site attributes. That's been set here. And then we have a route of that applications. If the URL and to a particular URL, the top level of a route is this slash. So when a user comes in our web server, then having the URL only, then by default it goes into index.html, right? Usually, here in this flag Python codings, we call that if it comes to top level of that URL, then that is the index function is executed. Okay, in this index functions, if a username is in sessions, then we can say, hey, you already logged in. Otherwise, you are not logged in. So initially, you are not logged in, right? And after that, if a user simply log in, then URL number 127.0.0.1:5000, whatever that is, right? Here, this is for the HTTP enabled, but instead of, if you do this, then your system needs to prepare for the HTTP protocols. If HTTPS secure protocol is not available, then you can remove this. Also, if you want to assign a different port number instead of 5,000, 5,000 is a default port number, right? Other than 5,000, if you want to put something else, then you can put something else also here. Port equals whatever that is. We'll look at that. Okay. So IP address colon 5,000 slash, then it runs the previous this index function, and if we say login, then if user specify the URL 5,000 slash login, then this function is executed. If it is a post, for example, if we want to send the data, login, in order to log in, then we have to send the data, right? Whatever user login ID, right? So username, we take that username. If it is to the post data, of course the username is there. Or password, if you want to capture the password, then you can do that also. And session ID, that is automatically generated from, remember this is the function that we already defined. This is the function. This function returns UUID. So that ID also saved in the session. Session is a dictionary. Key in that dictionary can be username or session ID and more and more. And when user login successfully posted, then we redirect that URL to index, which means it goes back to that index. Once the login, then come back here. So if initially user is logged in successfully, then when it come back here, then it says, because it is in the sessions, or it says logged in as the usernames. So initially you are not logged in. Once you log in, then come back, because it comes back here, then it says logged in as whatever username that you entered. Why? Because we redirect to this route index. Index is the top levels. Okay, and if it is posted, then we can send this the HTML code so that you can see it. When you log out, then sessions can be completely logged out. Sessions username and session ID completely destroyed, popped out, and then also redirected to the index, the previous ones. Okay, let's try to run this. Okay, where are we? Okay, now we have a Flask 455 that we created, right? So I want to do, oh, I already, yeah, we have EMB there. So we need to do app.py. I want to copy and paste this. No, where is it? Let me push this aside a little while. Okay, here, paste. And I want to do paste the rest. because HTTPS may not be available, so I want to remove this and want to make this secret keys something more secured, so I can do multi-cyber and UUID. All others looks okay. Okay. So save this so that I have app.py. I want to run that. Something. End of a file. What is that? It's getting extremely true. Again here. What's wrong with that? Maybe there is some other characters may not be. Looks okay. Well, I'm going to remove this. And the first can, what happens? Okay, let's see. Same side. It was because I copied it. Still, syntax error. End of a line while scanning string return. End of a line. Probably, yeah, I got that. This quote It's not the quote. Remember that? They are not the same. I need to remove that quote because somehow it is not. Okay, there may be another ones. Yeah, that quote. Line 28. So line 28. Okay, here. There should be this, but not that ones. Is there any other similar ones? I think it looks good, others, to my eyes. Okay, it goes well. So my Flask Python web server is running right now. So I'm going to bring this, and I want to put here http:// that's 5,000 by default. If I hit enter, then you are not logged in. Of course, I'm not logged in, right? What that means is that here, initially it goes to here, because that is the top level, that index. No one's in that sessions, so what it gives me is you are not logged in. But if you do login, then it gives me here that form. So I can enter, for example, Jae-yoon and log in. When I log in, then it redirect to original index, which is here. Because I logged in, then this time this guy says logged in as whatever the user ID that I entered, Jae-yoon. So when I log in, then logged in as Jae-yoon. Okay, and then when I log out again, when I do log out, this route, log out, then pop out username and session ID, and then it goes back to index. Because username is popped out, then I'm not in the sessions. So session is removed, session data is removed, so that it gives me you are not logged in. So when I do log out, then I'm not anymore there, right? Session data is set up right after I log in, and when I log out, then it destroyed, right? That makes sense. If you want to do, for example, so I can do Control-C out, a little bit more things that I can do. For example, when I log out, then I want to see print who is log out. So we can say like this, and then session username, oh, I think I need to do, because if it is popped out, then already it is gone, right? So I can say here user, if it's popped out, and then I can do ID. So I take some data popped out to user and ID, and I want to read that and write it that like this. Okay. save it and run that server again. And when I do login, and I want to put here JUN multi-edu login, then that is a logged in. So from this point, my session is maintained and securely kept by the secret keys, so no one can hijack. And then if I do log out, then immediately session data will be removed. But before it is removed, remember in the code, I extracted user ID, the session ID and the username, and I want it to be printed. So when I do this, then remember that here, JUN multi-edu in the ID, this is a UUID. Remember that this is a unique and a randomly generated ID. So this kind of ID cannot be guessed easily. So that is logged out. Okay. More than that, come back here. If you want to change the port number, so port number equals 50455. And then I run it. This is not going to work anymore because that is not being solved. So 50455, enter, then you are not logged in. And here, if you do login, then it asks me to enter. So for example, CyberM login. So CyberM is logged in. I can log out also. When I do log out, then it says CyberM in this ID. So different UUID is generated. Previously, I have this UUID, right? So now this UUID is generated. And for the different port numbers. Okay. Now, how can you protect, for example, even in this case, someone may hijack IP and attack us. So in order to get that, I have little further code that is given to you. So let's practice that also. So Control C. I want to, right now we have app.py. I want to make another, let's say, session.py. And then copy up this. Okay. Paste. All right. And then next one is all right. I want to make sure that the quote is properly typed. I want to check it. If my eye is accurately verify it, I may not have an error. Let me check. I think so far so good. Yeah, it looks good. This is anyway, this is a strong, right? Strong IP, strong password. I wanna change this, say 9. Okay. And finally, I want to put here, yeah, 1. Python session.py. Okay. So I can redo. I think come back here 5,000. Let's see what happens. Why is it denied? I think it should work. Nothing wrong, because then also it says this. Let me try another browser. You don't authorized to visit this page. 4:30. There are some. Oh, before request, username is session. That's not the case, right? I'm not sure why this is denied. I use a different Chrome. So it works. So when I do login, then I can enter January 2001 login. Then it goes that, and when I do log out, then it is log out. What I want to show here is Control C. I want to put, let's see, here, request. The idea here is this: if user ID in a session, currently the user is in a session, then IP and this user agent can be captured, and then current session IP and current user agent, if they are not the same as the one already saved in the session data, then that is hijacking, right? Therefore, now the session, that user ID can be popped out, and then we can say, hey, session hijacking is detected. So when user login, yeah, we can do here print remote IP and then user agent. We printed that, okay? I want to check that user ID and at once. That's what we already looked at here. Remote IP. This guy is remote. This web browser. Web browser's IP is one. This is the same machine, right? 127.0.0.1, and user agent is this, right? So when I redo that, and when I do login, enter, and then my user ID is JUN 2001, then this user agent is this, right? Because this comes from the same web browser, same web browser, therefore that's the same person. Hijacking is that it comes from somewhere else, right? So one possible way that we could check is, rather than this web browser, I want to access from, let's say, here, using CURL minus K. I want to execute it, minus X, and then post. I want to send the data, and username equals, I want to say J1 2001, same one, and then HTTP : 127.0.0.1 5000 slash login. What happens? Oh, because of that. See URL minus, you know why? Because I opened the double quote and I didn't have double quote yet. So it was waiting. Minus D, username equal. Make sure that string is closed. 127.0.0.1 colon 5000 login. Hit enter. Then here your agent is completely different, right? Therefore, according to that code, if they are not the same, then it should be kicked out, right? From previous and currently. That is written in this somewhere here. No, here. Before requested, if this or if they are not the same, then it'll be kicked out. That is the detecting the session hijacking. Okay. All right. This is it. I'll see you next time.